sometime in the next few decades, humans will leave this planet to live in another world.
That means that some people in our life can be the first Martians. How about that?
We're finding out a lot about how to explore Mars in our station. Over 1,000 people from over 40 countries have actually participated in one crew or another.
It's the grandest adventure I could possibly imagine. That is, for me, the most important reason why we should pursue the establishment of life on Mars.
If we go to Mars in our time, 200 years from now, there'll be new branches of human civilization on Mars.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Red Planet Live. Today we're actually on episode 4, which is fantastic. So today we're going to be talking with some amazing guests. So I want to kind of just jump right in because we actually have a lot to go over. So I'm going to bring up into the stream James Burke, who is awesome. Man, I'm so happy that you could actually join us tonight, because today's episode, we're going to be talking tech, and we're going to be talking with the chapter heads of actually 3 chapters. So some of the founders, co-founders, and major players there. So, but today we wanted to actually also go over some of the stuff that the Mars Society is working on from your perspective, and that you're working on your end. So I thought we would jump in. So first of all, James, welcome. I'm glad that you can make it and join us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, Ron.
Okay, awesome. So I think, first off, if you want to kind of just introduce yourself, your role, I guess your role with TMS as a whole, as a global perspective, because you're also the head of you're also at the Seattle chapter as well. So I think from today's perspective, we're going to be talking to you from your work when it comes to the Mars Society as a whole. So if you could actually just maybe introduce yourself, what you're going to be showing us today, and we'll kind of just jump right in.
Yeah, well, I'm a founding member of the Mars Society. My member number is 705, and I've been with the Seattle chapter since we started. We used to be called the Puget Sound chapter, but we rebranded ourselves a couple years ago so that people outside of Seattle understood what that was. But I'm also the director of information technology for the Mars Society. I've been in that role for 10 years now. And 4 years ago, we started the Mars VR project. And I'm really excited to talk about Mars VR. That's our virtual reality effort to create new tools that we could use to tell the story of the human exploration of Mars, and also showcase the work that we've done in Utah at our Mars Desert Research Station. It was about 4 years ago that Dr. Zubrin and a few others and I talked about what we could do for VR. And we decided at that time to hold a Kickstarter, and we raised, our goal was to raise $25,000. We ended up raising $31,000. And wow. We used the money to scan the Mars Desert Research Station, which is our station in Utah that we've had since the year 2001. So this is our 20th anniversary of that station project as well. And we flew a drone and we captured a square mile of terrain. And we had a couple guys that are real great experts at VR and photogrammetry, which is the science of taking a real life object and putting it into VR, making a virtual version of it. We had a couple guys go out to the base and scan everything. And they brought all the data back, and we've processed it. And later that year in 2018, I was able to show this at our conference and a couple other events we had. And so it was a great experiment, kind of a proof of concept, but it also showed us the possibility that we could do more with this. So earlier this year, we held another crowdfunding campaign, and this time we raised over $100,000, and that really let us get serious about delivering a real world-class experience to the public. And I'm really excited tonight because I'm going to show everyone some of this for the first time. We actually have been working all summer on this, and there's not one, not two, but 3 different experiences that we've built. So let me take you through them. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to show everybody the first one, which, although it's part of our project Mars VR, it's actually something that everyone could use in a web browser. All they need is a computer and a web browser. You actually could even use this on your phone. And so this is what we call the Mars Desert Research Station 360 static environment. I'm going to go ahead and just refresh the browser I'm showing here so it starts at the beginning, because it's going to show a guided tour of our campus. Now, we created this by taking a camera called a Matterport camera. If you know anyone that works in the real estate industry, they might be familiar with Matterport cameras. It's essentially a 360-degree camera that's on a tripod, and you take it somewhere, like say if you're going to make a model of a house, you'd go ahead and set that up, the camera up in the house, and you click a button and it would spin around and it would take a 360 view of the room it's in. And if you did this a bunch of times, you can actually create a walkthrough of the whole house. Well, that's basically what we did, is we did this for the entire MDRS campus. And you can see here the applications running, and it's kind of showing us this guided tour. We actually have a voiceover of this. This is a great experience for somebody that would be new to what we're doing and doesn't really understand about the Mars Desert Research Station, doesn't understand what we do there. This is a narrated guided tour. You also see there's a little mini map on the bottom left that you can use to jump around. So I can actually click on one of these little dots and it'll take me right to that section of the campus. And I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard to actually scroll around, or I can use the mouse. So right now I'm just using my mouse to turn the camera around, and then I can click where that little arrow is and I can go down the tunnel. So each one of these is an individual scan of the campus. And this is a great application to kind of just get a feel for what it's like to walk around there. We've also embedded in it a lot of little Easter eggs. So if you see that little logo on the oil can there, or on the gas can there, we actually have a bunch of little things to find in the experience. I'm not going to show them all tonight because I want everyone to kind of hunt for them on their own. But you know, this is the first experience we've built, and we're going to actually release this to the public very soon. We're going to have a closed beta of this at the end of this week for our early access backers. And I'm actually going to go inside the hab, and you can actually see inside the hab some of the things we have here at the MDRS. So
this is real time, is it? Is this running in real time?
This is, yeah, this is in the browser. I'm clicking around, and it's happening right as I click. But this is what it looks like inside the MDRS if you haven't been there before.
Okay.
So anyway, this is our first experience. It's called the static environment. It's meant for anyone to be able to use this in a web browser. What's also a really great feature of this is there's a video chat capability. So we can actually have this as a meeting space and use this as a meeting space for chapters or project teams or people that want to just try it out. So any questions on that?
Actually, we do have a question coming in from Sean Dow. He actually wants to know if this is going to be on Steam eventually.
So this one will just be a browser environment. We'll share this pretty widely from our MDRS website, but the one I want to show you next is the real good one. This is the one that's kind of the virtual reality immersive experience. So let me show that. I have a video clip to play. So one of the other things we did, and that's our partner Mixed Reality, is we've actually now created a fully immersive VR environment with the campus. And we were able to go through and reconstruct all the buildings virtually. So we've created 3D models of all the buildings inside and out, the tunnels, and we're also working on all the objects inside. Because one of the things that we'd like to do is have training for all the crews. So imagine being able to go through the campus and actually pick things up. And if you wanted to learn how what the procedures are to put on one of our suits and go out the airlock, you can actually try that out in VR and learn that. That was the whole idea behind Mars VR, is we wanted to give people the opportunity to train on some of our procedures at home, before they got out to Utah. That way they can really hit the ground running when they get there. And you can imagine the possibilities of an environment such as this. We also could do things like simulations of the campus and the procedures and the operations inside VR. So there's a lot we can do with an environment like that. And we're hard at work on the training procedures. We've finished a few of them, but we have a lot more to show as the months go by. The third environment we worked on is a next generation VR environment that is for Mars. And so I don't have anything to show on that today, but fasten your seatbelts on that one, because there's a lot of really exciting things about that. We've got a lot of the hardware that's really on Mars, like the rovers, the Ingenuity helicopter. And so there's going to be a lot of things that people are going to be able to try out and visit with that one when that's ready to.
Awesome.
So to answer your question, is it going to be on Steam? Yeah, actually it will be. The two immersive experiences will be downloadable on Steam, and we'll have also unlocks. We'll have DLC or add-ons that people can purchase through Steam. But the core experience for the MDRS will be free.
Cool. And I do have a question that actually came in as well. So I have a viewer that wants to know that whether Mars VR will actually be usable from a cell phone or something like Google Cardboard.
Yeah, so the first environment I showed, the static environment, you actually could use that with Google Cardboard on a cell phone. I'll go ahead and share my screen again, and I'll show you how to do that. Because basically, there's a little panel that you can bring out in that experience. And if you do that, let me wait till it shows up on the screen here. So if you see this little icon in the top right, if I click on that, I can actually view this in VR. And so you could use that on a device like Google Cardboard on a cell phone, and you'd have a pretty decent experience doing it that way.
No, that's amazing. No, I mean, fantastic work. I mean, definitely congratulations to you and the team on that. I mean, that's just phenomenal. I mean, everybody, we know about MDRS, and, people go there and they go there to train, to be analog astronauts, and they kind of go into the field and do, and of course we don't, we only hear about it, or maybe we see some pictures that are coming from the crews, because we had Crew 245 on here actually a couple shows ago, and, it was fantastic to see everything they were doing, but we don't really get an inside view, because I mean, one thing that we have to say, and I do say on most shows, is that, the MDRS is not open to the public. So everybody who's wandering through aren't supposed to be there. So how do we get, how do we see what's inside there? So, I mean, it's fantastic that you're able to bring that, because we can't just let people walk through it. So this is really the next best thing. And of course, the options are really, I mean, VR. I mean, if I think about where VR was 5 years ago and where VR and AR technology is now, it's just completely mind-blowing. And imagine what it's going to be in the next couple of years. It's just, especially with the neural engine, the neural nets, and they're building in specific hardware accelerated features into chips now, right on the devices, to make everything just extremely realistic and very smooth and high frame rates.
Yeah, it's been really great when I've been able to show this to people before COVID, of course. I showed our prototype environment to 200 middle school girls in Seattle at the Museum of Flight here in Seattle, and they were blown away. Like, none of them expected to be able to walk on Mars that day when they came to the museum, and the response has always been 100% positive. I think the only downside with VR is, for some people, they get a little motion sick, or they get a little bit of vertigo when they put on the headset. But that's why we built the browser-based environment. You can use this on any computer, and it's just on the monitor. So you don't have to use the high-resolution high-definition headsets to experience this. We wanted to get this out to a widest audience as possible, so we can tell the story of what we're doing.
Yeah, because that makes sense. I mean, some of these headsets, I mean, I think the Oculus, and I mean, these aren't cheap. I mean, you can spend up into the thousands of, for these headsets.
They're coming down in price. The Oculus Quest is a pretty popular one. The Quest 2 is the latest model, and it's about $300, and it's pretty good. I mean, it does have a closed system for the games and the software that come with it. It's not an open system by any means. It's not like having a mobile device where you can download whatever app is in the store, and then maybe sideload things on your own. It is pretty closed, but there are some other headsets out there like the HTC Vive Focus 3 that just came out that are, like you said, kind of over 1,000, but that are very high quality, and that one has a built-in fan, so it kind of keeps your head cool as you're using it. But the technology is advancing just light speed. I mean, every 6 months there's a new high-end headset that comes out, and there's definitely no lack of innovation in that field.
Awesome. So we have a couple questions though come in there. I know before we move on to the next segment, there's actually something else I'm going to ask you shortly as well. So we're going to go through a couple of questions here. So I'll bring this up from Libby. Interesting question. Any plans something this tech will be on Mars? And I'm pretty sure she means literally on Mars. So I guess you're going to be putting this on. You're going to be strapping this to a dragon.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we've talked about is what if we had someone inside the hab with a headset on, and then someone out on EVA in a suit, and you had a real-time link between the two of them, and you can actually have the person in the hab guide them and kind of have the map and have sort of the mission, the mission data and the objective notes, and you're like kind of talking someone through from the hab, but you're seeing everything they see. And then the person outside on EVA, maybe they have like an AR headset where they can still see everything they see, but they also see like maybe an avatar of the person in the hab. Like there's a lot of opportunity here for like a real-time collaboration using VR. And I think you'll see like in some movies, sci-fi movies, you'll see things like that. I do think that is going to happen where you'll have an astronaut working outside on Mars on the surface, working along with someone maybe up in orbit or in the base. It's obviously there's a bit of a delay back to Earth, so you're not going to have a real-time link. But on the moon, it would only be a second or two. So that's certainly possible there.
Yeah, because I think it's only a 2-second round trip for the signal, right? 2 to 3 seconds to go to the moon. Mars, you got a few more minutes to add on there. I think what is it, 28 minutes? All depends on this.
It depends on the alignment of Earth and Mars, and obviously, if Earth and Mars are on opposite sides of the sun, then there's no link.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard to move a sun. They're awfully big. So we're going to go. So we actually have another question coming in there. So any way to bring team to map Mars in Metaverse? Are you available? And
that's Lady Rocket. I've heard of her before. Hey, Lady Rocket.
Okay.
I'd love to be on the team map Mars in Metaverse. If you can send me some details on that. I don't really know what that is, but it sounds fun.
Yeah, and I think there's another question here, and actually this might even be somebody to call on, because I think Sean is actually one of the members of Mars Society Canada, if I remember correctly. So that actually may be somebody that you can talk to when it goes, because I think motion sickness, because I've actually used the VR headsets to play some games in the past. I had a hard time. I have to be honest with you. I had to, I was on the PlayStation, and it was making me actually feel sick. I couldn't cope with it.
Yeah, my wife Kathy, she can't do it at all. As soon as she puts the headset on, she starts getting sick. Yeah. We tried this roller coaster one once, and she got really sick from that. I'm aware there are some ways to reduce it, and obviously the technology is evolving as well. One really simple trick you can do if you're playing a game that's making you motion sick is just nod your head like this.
Okay.
As you're moving. That reduces it a bit because it's tricking your inner ear that there is a little bit of movement, even if what you see doesn't match up with what you're experiencing. That's really the cause of the motion sickness, is that your inner ear is getting confused, that what you're seeing isn't what you're feeling.
Okay.
So if you can trick it, that's a little like life hack you could do, is just kind of nod your head while you're doing the VR, and that cuts down on it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, like you're saying, the technology is improving. So, what it used to be 5 years ago, it probably isn't as bad today, with all the improvements and all the research that goes in. I mean, that's a good thing about, having scientists and, that are actually looking at this and saying, how do we actually make this more consumable and accessible for people? Because, we don't want people throwing up while they're in their VR headset. So yeah, that's good. So we have another question. Will the VR visuals have a voiceover narrative that will explain and inspire? That's a fantastic question.
Yeah, I might have been talking too fast, but our first experience already does have a voiceover as you join the experience. It's actually me talking about the campus and introducing you to all the different buildings. So that's part of it right now.
Fantastic. So I do have a question that I wanted to bring up as well. Now, before you move on, because I think Mars Coin is something that you're going to go into in your next portion of your segment. But I hear that you actually are going to be coming up and actually leading a crew at MDRS actually coming up next year. And I wonder if you could actually let us know and give your, from a commander, because you were a commander of a mission before.
I was
like?
an XO of a mission before. I went in 2018, and I was XO. Susan Jewell was my commander. And you're right, I am going to command a crew. We were going to go in December, but of course, because of COVID, we had to postpone our mission. I have 4 crew members that are French, and so they couldn't travel, unfortunately. Very sad. We've been training together for almost 2 years now. So now we're out. I believe we're out till April of 23 right now, but hopefully we'll get pulled back in a little bit to next fall. It was a really amazing experience for me to go to the MDRS for the first time, having been part of the Mars Society and having helped out with the websites and all the other IT needs for years before that. Actually going there was just something completely different. I likened it, I'm a scuba diver, and so it was very similar to scuba diving trips I've gone on before, where you sort of wake up and you eat breakfast and you talk about what you're going to do that day, and then you gear up, and then you go out, and then you do a bunch of stuff, and then you come back inside and you're just wiped, just exhausted and sweaty, and you're dehydrated, and then you do that like every day for a week or 2 weeks. So it's a little grueling, but it's very rewarding. And also another thing I noticed is you're just busy all the time. It's just like being an astronaut because you have so much you want to do, and you have at night you have your crew reports to write. You're planning out your experiments during the day. You're still trying to kind of keep the hab clean and cook food for everyone. So you kind of rotate some of those duties around the crew. So it's actually a pretty intense experience, but it's a lot of fun. It's nothing like anything else I've ever experienced.
Yeah, I mean, when I was talking to Crew 245, I mean, they were talking water was actually one of the major things that they actually had to be concerned about, and they had to monitor their usage. So resource usage, was extremely important because, I mean, the whole idea is this is a simulation. You want to be as realistic as possible. If you are actually in a hab on Mars, these are things that are actually important. I mean, these are life or death situations. You run out of water, Earth is quite a far ways away. You can't just you can't actually call up skip the dishes.
No, and we're in the middle of the Utah desert. I mean, it is not like there can be real emergencies, and over the years we've had real emergencies where we've had to break sim and take people to the hospital because people do get dehydrated and other things out there. No, I mean, it kind of sounds corny, but after a few days, you kind of do feel like you're on Mars. You look out the window and it looks like Mars. You're only with the people that are in the mission with you. You don't see anyone else. You do feel isolated because you are isolated. You are in the middle of the Utah desert, 2 hours away from the nearest city, Grand Junction, Colorado. So it's the closest thing you're going to get to actually going there.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's the last of the question that came in for the Mars VR. So I want to definitely thank you for your for all the effort that you put into there, and it's fantastic. So I think moving on, let's actually talk about Mars Coin. I think that's something that I don't know a lot about this. So you're here to educate me and everybody else, I think, when it comes to this, because I know like nothing.
Okay, so Mars Coin is a really fun thing. It's a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. It's actually a copy of Bitcoin, a legal copy of Bitcoin. We have a member, his name's Leonard Lopin. He created this in 2014, and he donated 500,000 of these to the Mars Society when the project was founded. He also donated 500,000 to Mars One, which at the time was very popular. It was this one way to Mars project. A lot of people signed up for it, and their idea was to have like a reality show type of revenue funding model. That project didn't work out. I found out about it because I edit all of our videos and led it for our conference, and Leonard came to our conference and presented this and gave the donation to Dr. Zubrin. And so I actually was watching the video as I was editing it, and I was like, wow, I missed this at the conference. This is really cool. And so I talked to him. I had dabbled a little bit with Bitcoin, back in 2011. Bitcoin was started in 2009. In 2011, I kind of bought some at $100 and sold some at $190, and I thought I was the smartest guy ever. And by the way, it's trading at about $46,000 right now.
Yep.
So, but Marscoin, you know, it's a really great project. It's something where we have this whole community of people that are trying to promote the Marscoin. They call themselves the Marscoin Army, and you know, I've talked about this with Dr. Zubrin. We had because we're a nonprofit, we have to be really careful, sort of, about how we handle projects like this. You know, we can take cryptocurrency donations, and we a couple years ago announced that we were going to take Bitcoin as a donation. We had consulted with some legal experts in Colorado, where we're headquartered, about how we can do that completely ethically and above board. And we also determined that we can cheer on the Marscoin project, but it's an independent project, and it's run by Leonard out of his Marscoin Foundation, which is out of Florida. But you know, I help out where I can. I'm an advisor to the project, and I helped Leonard organize a conference back in June called the Marscoin Expo, and you can see behind my shoulder the "I was there" T-shirt for that conference. It was a virtual conference, but we had a lot of fun, and it's a project that definitely is I think if it's successful, it can really help out the Mars Society. One of the things I was able to do, back to sort of the Mars One, is when that project Mars One was clear to everyone that they weren't going to succeed, I reached out to Bas Lansdorp and said, hey, those 500,000 Mars coins that you guys got, you're not going to need those anymore. Could we have those? Could the Mars Society have those? And he agreed. So we actually have all 1 million of the original donation now, and there's only 33 million in circulation, so that's a pretty large percentage of it. And so anyway, they fluctuated a lot in value. A couple years ago, they were worth less than a penny, but earlier this year, they were worth 25 cents at one point each. So okay, you can do the math there. That was a pretty exciting day for the Mars Society.
Cool.
But
well, how do you buy that
long term?
Okay, so how do you actually go out and buy that? I mean, be honest with you, I know so little about cryptocurrency. I wouldn't even know where to buy Bitcoin. So, if you like, how do we go and buy Marscoin? Like, how do we actually invest in and donate?
Sure. Well, the first thing I want to say is I'm not an investment advisor, and this is not investment advice. And you need to do your own research, because cryptocurrencies are very risky investments. So people have lost money in them, and there's also a lot of fraud in that industry. But essentially, the way you would acquire Marscoin is, first you would take some US dollars, or you could use euros, and you would first buy Bitcoin. And there's a lot of ways to buy Bitcoin. Here in the US, you can use an exchange called Gemini. You could use another one called Coinbase. They're just websites you go to. It's kind of like using PayPal. You set up an account, you associate it with your bank account, and you can buy Bitcoin that way. Or you could use a credit card to buy Bitcoin. And then once you have your Bitcoin, then you need to find a place that exchanges Bitcoin for Marscoin. And currently, over the years, there's been a lot of them, but currently, as of right now, there's 2 of them. The one I use a lot is called xt.com, and they're in Hong Kong. And again, do your own research. I've used that exchange a lot this year. It seems very legitimate to me. I've successfully deposited and withdrawn money out of there. But do your own research, and just bear in mind that you don't want to keep stuff on an exchange. You want to ultimately have it held locally in your own wallet. You can learn more about Marscoin and download a wallet for it by going to marscoin.org, and you'll find out all about the project.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, James. So I think, what we can do, because I know one of the final things that you wanted to talk about is we actually have the annual International Mars Society Convention coming up October 14th to 17th, which is going to be all virtual this year again as well. Of course, we know why. And I thought maybe if you could actually talk a little bit about the conference and or the convention, and what's going on, and maybe we'll have a couple questions coming from the audience in regards to registration. But if you could take that away and kind of give us a little bit of some info on that.
Yeah, you can learn all about our conference and register for it at our website, marssociety.org. This is our second year in a row doing a virtual conference. Last year's was extremely successful for us. We had 10,000 attendees. Just to put that in perspective, a typical year for us, like in 2019, we were at University of Southern California. We had 400 attendees. The year before that, we were at Pasadena Convention Center. I think we had 500. So I think the most we've ever had was in the 2001 or 2 convention at Stanford. We had 1,000. That was a big deal for us. So last year we had 10,000, and we had the NASA administrator was a speaker. Elon Musk was a speaker, as well as pretty much everybody we asked to come speak was at our conference last year. And so this year we have Pam Melroy, the deputy administrator of NASA. She's our headline keynote speaker, as well as Robert Zubrin and Chris McKay and all the usual Mars mission experts will be there. So we'll have representation from all the teams at NASA: Perseverance, Ingenuity, Curiosity, Insight. We'll also have all kinds of different commercial and other international speakers as well. So it's always a great event, 4 days. We put it all online, just like we do our in-person event. We're going to have 4 days of programming, including evening stuff. And it's like Zubrin calls it, a smorgasbord of content. So, and the one from last year and all the previous years is all up on YouTube. We actually, every year we put everything up on YouTube. I do a lot of that. And we have over 1,000 videos on YouTube now. It's kind of like our own little library of Mars technology and science and exploration concepts. So, if you're not able to watch the event live, you can absolutely check it out afterwards by going to our YouTube page.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about content. I mean, it's really what we're doing here, right? I mean, we're, really creating content to help actually, promote and to advocate for, humans to Mars and Mars in general. So, I mean, it really is just about getting this out there to the widest possible audience that we can. And, you showing up and, all the great guests that come on the show are really just part of that process. And, I have to, continually thank you all every single week that, that you take time out of your busy schedules to come on and speak with me and speak with the audience about that. So it's just fantastic. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the conference, and there's absolutely amazing speakers coming up. But one question I did have though, because I think with virtual conferences, like how are people going to network? Because I think that's something that people look forward to doing at a conference is, how do you go and have a chat with your friends and, meet new people? How do you do that virtually?
Yeah, it's something we've thought through a lot, and we have an amazing partner, Hopin, that is helping us with the software for the conference. You might remember last year we used a software called Attendify, and it's the same software. It's just that they were acquired by a new company called Hopin, which also has its own set of products for conferences. And so there's going to be a lot of different ways that people can interact with each other and talk to each other, set up meetings, and have virtual calls with other attendees. So there's going to be a lot of options there for networking, as well as asking questions of the speakers live and having them interact with you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I really, want to say thank you again, James, for coming on and spending some time with us tonight. And just one more ask from you. I have the chapter heads for 3 of the Mars Society chapters are actually in the queue. Do you mind if I bring them up for a second with you? I know you have to run off really, really soon. And just to say hi. And, I always use this as a opportunity for a photo op as well. So you can see have big smiles and, hey, how's it going, everybody? How's it? Welcome. So, yeah. So anyway, I'll give you guys an opportunity before we introduce you guys, the chapters and, the heads of the chapters that we come to speak on behalf of. If you guys have any questions for James in regards to the presentation that he has or comments.
No, I'm a big fan of his VR project, and I heard a lot of stories from some of our NorCal members about all the technology you guys were using on your MDRS crew, and it was very impressive.
Well, thanks, Scott. Coming from you, that means a lot because you're the original guy with the Mars Sim project. So I've admired your work as well.
I don't have a question for James, but I do want to say thank you so much for what you do, and I can't wait to dive into Mars VR. That looks like it's going to be awesome.
Thanks, Evan.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's
Julio.
it. Julio, anything? Hey, Julio.
Congratulations.
Okay.
I really appreciate the commitment of James because I can see during the Mass Society Convention a lot of work and a lot of rooms to organize, a lot of panels, and it's great work. I'm a great fan of James, and all years I'm very excited about how this is feasible. Also the Moon Society, right, James?
I'm sorry?
Also, you are engaged with Moon Society.
Oh, the Moon Society. Yeah, I also helped that group out a little bit. They're a lot smaller than the Mars Society, but, and focused on Earth's closest neighbor. But we had a conference earlier this year called the Lunar Development Conference that was pretty fun. So, yeah, helping them out as well sometimes.
Yeah, I think you're definitely busy, James. I mean, I bug you about things. I need, this is, I need this, or I need an email fixed, or this. I mean, with the duties that you do for the Mars Society, plus all the other volunteering and other initiatives that you look after, the fact that your eyes are even open right now and able to do this is just a testament to your agility. So just fantastic.
Yeah, thanks a lot. There's actually one other event I wanted to mention since we're talking about other stuff I do. The NASA Space Apps Challenge is this international hackathon, and I run the Seattle event, and it's actually on October 1st and the weekend of October 1st through 3rd. That's coming up. So if you're interested in learning about how to write an application and learn about working with data, going after some of the NASA challenges for that event, go to NASA Space Apps Challenge site. I think it's spaceappschallenge.org.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, James. And I know you have to run, so I wanted to thank you again for coming on. And it was a fabulous presentation. And I guess next time I might see you, it might be virtually at the conference.
Thanks a lot, Ron. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, James.
Take care. Bye.
Okay. So, guys, welcome. I get that was kind of a bit of a unexpected, unorthodox, or kind of bringing you in at the like that. So thank you very much for entertaining my disorder and chaos that I like to throw in here from time to time. So really appreciate you guys coming on tonight. We wanted to kind of talk about, we wanted to do this show into two segments. So we want to talk, because one thing that's really important to highlight is that the Mars Society is has a lot. I mean, I think it's 33 international chapters, all the way from Peru to Canada, from UK to Egypt, India to Japan. And I mean, the US alone has 22 chapters. And so, I mean, the chapters are really just, I mean, they're the lifeblood of really what's going on in the Mars Society and continuing that advocacy, from going forward. So I really wanted to really thank you for coming on and, speaking with us tonight. So what I want to do is I'm kind of going to go around and let you introduce yourselves, introduce your chapter, and kind of go into, what you're working on. And, last and not but least, we want to make sure that we talk about, how people join your chapter. So, if depending on, whether they're in your local region, in the country, it all depends. Some countries have a single chapter, and of course, other countries like the US has 22. So it could be more localized and more regional as opposed to more country specific. So I'll start at my top right there. So Evan, welcome to the show. And if you wanted to kind of introduce yourself, your chapter, and we'll go just jump right into the points that you want to talk about.
Sure thing. Ron, thanks for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. My name is Evan Plante-Weir, and I am a co-founder of the Mars Society of Canada. Mars Society of Canada is a federal registered not-for-profit, and we've got some pretty exciting stuff going on right now. So one of the programs that I think is really great is called the Mars Explorer Program. And the Mars Explorer Program is basically going to be an open source online learning platform for young students to develop an understanding and get excited about all things Mars. So it's going to be targeting grades 4 to 6. And it's being developed by a primary school teacher named Hayden Hanna, who's doing a really fantastic job there. Initially, it's going to be rolled out as a collection of materials and projects that teachers will be able to integrate into their existing curriculum. So an example of one of the projects that teachers will have access to would be an exercise where young kids, as students, are asked to design a 3D Mars habitat, or Mars colony, rather. So essentially, they'd be learning a bit of computer software with open source 3D environment creation, and they'll also be learning, what is required for a human to survive on Mars. And I'm really excited about this endeavor because, as everyone here knows, many of the young children of today are going to be very likely going to be settlers on Mars, perhaps in decades to come. So introducing them these concepts early, I think, is great. We also have something called Mars Log, and Mars Log is a blog on our website. It's a collection of articles, infographics, and interviews. We have contributors with a background in physics and engineering who are exploring, in their articles, are exploring ideas like, how are spacecraft maneuvered or propelled, or things like how is oxygen going to be made on Mars? What's the chemistry and the science behind that? We have contributors such as myself with a background in psychology and sociology who are writing articles about how the settlement of Mars is going to impact the way our species thinks and interacts with itself. We have interviews, like we recently had an interview with a Canadian Space Agency scientist, Tim Hultigan, who has been instrumental in the Mars sample return campaign. And one of the newest series on Mars Log is a series called Building Athens. And Building Athens is exploring what are the unique opportunities and restrictions for the first academic institutions on Mars. So, what's going to be involved there? What's it going to be like? What are the unique things that people will have to learn, or unique ways that people will learn on Mars? So that's Mars Log. We've got great feedback on that, and I encourage everyone to check it out on our website, which is marssociety.ca. Another thing I want to mention is something that we've got in the works called the Mars Analog Mobile Station, or MAMS for short. And basically what it's going to be is just like it sounds like. It's going to be a mobile analog Mars station that can be deployed basically anywhere in Canada where there's a road. So if there's road access, it can go there. It's going to be basically on a trailer chassis and a modular system with two main priorities. One is obviously to facilitate research associated with Mars and Mars exploration. Examples of that might be controlled environment agriculture, learning how to grow crops on Mars using MAMS. And the second priority is using it as a platform to interact directly with the public all throughout Canada, in order for them to get sort of a hands-on, visual look within MAMS at what an analog station is like, and why Mars is interesting and why Mars is important. So two scenarios you might imagine MAMS in. One, MAMS could be deployed to an analog environment that's within, a logistically practical range of a Canadian academic institution, so that members of that institution can engage in that analog research. And maybe a second scenario would be MAMS being rolled out to something like the Canadian National Exhibition, where the MAMS is used as a exhibit for people to learn about Mars and why it's important and why it's interesting. I also want to mention, actually, that Mars Desert Research Station was, of course, mentioned earlier with James's awesome presentation about Mars VR. And actually, one of our directors at the Mars Society of Canada is going to be deploying to MDRS with Crew 228 this month. And so we're going to be following that really closely, and we're very excited to cheer Jin on. And Jin will be operating as the health and safety officer for that deployment. So he's going to be keeping everyone happy and safe. So go Jin.
Go Jin. I love Jin.
Yes. Oh, he's good. We're lucky to have him. Hey, Jin. And lastly, I'll just plug our website again and let you know where to go to find out more about us, because we've got lots more in the works. We're at marssociety.ca. And if you're located in Canada and you find Mars interesting and our journey to a multi-planetary future exciting, consider becoming a member at marssociety.ca. And your membership is really important to helping us do all these things and more. So that about wraps it up for me. And yeah, looking forward to welcoming everyone to our growing community.
Awesome. I mean, I actually have the privilege of being a member there myself. Of course, I'm busy where I don't get to volunteer as much as I would love, but I've definitely enjoyed my discussions and my time. Where I get to speak with everybody there, and you and Glenn and Jin, and I mean, it's just fantastic. I mean, I really appreciate everything you guys are doing, and it's so. For me, of course, we're both from Canada, so it's so heartwarming for me to see that there's so much initiative going on here, especially that with the direction that you guys we are taking with really educating the youth and inspiring the youth, because you really have to get people interested from children. I think we all have these moments. If I don't want to speak for everybody, but if I think of myself, where I had my interest in space and Mars, it was really from a childhood, and me coming across. I mean. You might have heard this name, Carl Sagan, reading and opening, that book for the first time when I was younger. And that really is what did it for me. And it was Cosmos. When I actually went and looked at that, it was like, wow, you got to be kidding me. That's out there. and it just all went from there. So I think it's really important that we make this accessible to children, because we don't know what's going to inspire them. But if we don't actually show them, they'll never know. And I think it's such an important thing that we're doing for that. And, and I definitely want to, give you huge credit for that. So, Scott, Julio, is there any questions you have for Evan?
I'm impressed with all the projects you guys have going on. That sounds wonderful.
Awesome.
Thanks, Scott.
So what I'm going to...
Yes, I have a question to Ivan. It's about what are the connection with the flashlight analog station? There's some plan or some connections about the flashlight or FMARS operations?
Yeah, great question, Julio, and thanks for asking. Mars Society of Canada definitely hopes to be associated with getting some deployments to FMARS, and actually one of the priorities that I didn't mention for MAMS, for that mobile analog facility, is actually to serve as a way to promote FMARS and other analog facilities. So yeah, we want to see action at FMARS, which is in the Canadian Arctic, of course, and we want to be involved there for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I have a question of my own, actually, Evan. So how long do you think that before we get, let's say, buy-in from the Canadian government to say, when are we going to actually have like an official, Mars Society Canada analog station? What are your hopes? Let's say, let's not put a firm line on that, but, based on the work that you're doing and maybe the vibe and the feeling that you guys are getting, what are we looking at?
As in a timeline for the mobile analog facility?
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to speculate there. We're in the preliminary phase of putting it together. So, this is a medium to long-term goal. Though that said, it's all contingent on how quickly our membership grows and how fast our funding comes together for it. If there's a really generous contributor out there that wants to fund the whole thing, we could do it tomorrow. But we'd say, in the coming years, say 5 years out or sooner.
No, that's fantastic. Well, thank you, Evan, for sure. So I think, what I'm going to do now is, it was fantastic, Evan. Thank you very much for your presentation and for really, sharing all that with us. And, go Canada.
Go
I'm
Canada.
a little biased. So I want to I'll move around clockwise. So Julio, so moving on to, so you are the chapter head for Mars Society Brazil. So if you want to, take it away, introduce yourself and kind of maybe just jump right into what you guys are doing, what you're working on, and some of the membership information.
Yes, thanks so much. I am a professor in Brazilian University, UFRN, or University Federal of Rio Grande do Norte State. Also, we start our chapter here, I believe during 2018 or 2019. We are, in this case of Brazil, we are like a movement, a social movement, not a formal organization here. Also, I prepare a short presentation, if possible, share. Okay, let us share here
Yep, you just click share screen, and from
Okay.
there it should pop in, and then you should be able to take it from there.
Okay, I'll try to be quick, just look in my minutes.
Yep.
Okay, it's possible to see my screen?
I'm gonna put it in there right now. There we go.
Wonderful. Yes, we're talking a little. My first contact with Mass Society was during the Mass Society 2016 in Mass Society in Catholic University in Washington, D.C. We did a presentation there also. After this is a photo in our university here in Brazil with some students. Also here with some very happy about to be part of my society. Then since COVID-19, we started virtual activities. One of the activities was the Space Habitat event, an international event. We received more than 30 applications. Was in the end of 2020, also with participation with Professor Robert Zubrin. Also, since during this year, we did a lot of activities of also with some lectures. Also, we received a message from Robert Zubrin, a lot of circle of events, also following the Rover Perseverance launch and landing, also the ingenuity test, and also we organized a Uri night. Also, in June of this year, we organized the Space Habitat event with more than 60 applications, 60 abstracts. These are like one of the registrations, one of our meetings. Now, yesterday we watching the second episode, also showing the Dr. Cyan. Okay. Also is a photo from our meeting yesterday. Also tomorrow we'll be watching we will have a watching party to watch the Inspiration for launching tomorrow. And also tomorrow I am also a coordinator of a space analog station in Brazil called Habitat Marte. And tomorrow we'll be receiving here. I am in the our facility, and tomorrow we'll be receiving the president of Brazilian Space Agency here. Also, I'd like to show just some minutes about Habitat Marte. When we are talking about Brazil, we are hearing a lot about the rainforest. But the rainforest is an area like this. But we are located in Brazil, also as in America. There is a different ecosystems, and we are based in a semi-arid region here, in the corner of South America. In this case, we are based here in the corner of South America, and this is a typical photo from our landscape during summer. Okay, this is the photo of our facilities. In this case, we have an auditorium, the main facility. This blue area is our greenhouse. These are a blueprint of our complex, also presenting a large area of greenhouse. In this case, we are trying to develop a self-sustaining habitat connected with sanitation, also water, and also sewage reuse, and also producing food in a closed system, also using the solar panels. Here we have some photos from our we have aquaponics. This is a tilapia fish. Okay, Also a photo of a second aquaponics system operating, as this is kind of X scheme of our area. Some food producing in the greenhouse. We are also interested about the indigenous plants like some cactus. Also researching about the possibility to use the like cactus to produce food, to space food. Doing some experiments about it. And something interesting about our location is a extinct volcano. It's a 45 minutes driving, and in this area we did analysis of the soil. Something interesting about the sample analysis is present many common characteristics with the Mojave analog soil. The Mojave analog soil is used by NASA in Pasadena, JPL. These also other interesting things. We are creating a second analog place. It's we are calling the lava cave habitat. This is a recent photo from the area. Also, we received one of the participants of Pulsum program. He looks he perceives that this area, this lava cave habitat, presents a great potential in terms of the in situ resource utilization. In this case, we are preparing as necessary some months to uh, uh, install more equipment in this area. Also, since the until March of last year, we had 6 missions and 22 participants. And since COVID, we stopped the missions, the in-person missions, and we developed a methodology of virtual missions. And in last year, we had more than 30 missions, achieving 36 and more 200 participants. And now we are having more than 100 participants during 2021, and also we are developing now 90 missions during this year. In this case, we are maybe the station with the largest number of annual missions, also the greenhouse, also the only analog station in the southern hemisphere, also operate the aquaponics system. In this case, we are the all the numbers. We have more than 80 missions and more than 400 participants. This is in the virtual missions. This we are inviting the participants to imagine a space station on Mars. Also, the participants will be chiefs of some facilities, 7 facilities, and our results is sharing YouTube. Also, these are we have more the participants from more than 30 countries. And now since June, we restarted the in-person mission. This is a photo in the volcano close to us during the last weekend. And this is okay. This is my presentation. I thanks for the opportunity to, and also our activities in our society is very connected with the our analog station here.
Well, thank you, Julio, for that. That's fantastic. You guys are working on a lot of stuff. I actually really appreciate the research that you're putting in, especially for the soil analysis. And I mean, that's really hardcore work. I mean, it's really getting in there, and the stuff that you would actually do if you were actually on Mars, and actually, which is such amazing when you actually think about all the stuff that goes into the simulations, and the fact that you can do this and actually really put real world, a real other world, things into play. So it's actually fantastic. So really appreciate it. Let me just double check here. So we have that. And great. So is there any questions that are, Scott, Evan, anything that you actually want to ask Julio?
No, I think I had met Julio at one of the Mars Society conventions a few years ago. And
Pasadena.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I've been very impressed with the work you've been doing in Brazil with your Mars habitat there. It's amazing the number of missions you guys have going right now.
Yeah. Also next year, we are waiting international missions because since COVID, we had some sanitary barriers to travel to Brazil, but now is very safer now. Also, the number of of deaths are decreasing a lot, and I believe it will be more feasible. We receive the international mission since the beginning of next year.
Cool. I think one interesting thing, especially Evan, with you guys, with Canada looking to get the analog station set up, is that there's so much, with Julio and with the Mars Society, with MDRS, what they're doing. There's actually a lot of people to talk to, and to kind of help through that process. So, it's amazing that we have such a broad and diverse community that we can actually talk to and say, what do we do next? And there's a lot of people out there with a lot of information that can actually really help answer that question, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. Julio, thank you for what you do. I've never been to Brazil. I hope that one day maybe I can come and take a look at your analog facility. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, February we'll be receiving a Canadian group here with some connected with some Canadian universities, and I'm very happy about to make this happen. Also, I believe it's something that we commented in a recent meeting. Maybe it would be interesting. We have if it is happening if I have the missions in different stations during the same time, maybe the one station will be having like a common protocol with other stations, like stations in different parts of Mars, in different regions. This would be interesting to try to develop this challenge.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Julio. I really appreciate it. Your presentation was just amazing. I can't believe actually how much you're actually doing down in the analog station in Brazil. It's just incredible, and I mean, it must just be beautiful as well.
Yeah. And also tomorrow we'll be receiving the president of Brazil Space Agency.
Wow.
But let try to know if it will be possible they give some support to the initiative.
Okay. Cool. And for joining a chapter, just to mention this to everybody out there, so we actually have our chapters.marssociety.org. So if you're looking to join the Brazil chapter or form a chapter of your own, then you can actually find the Brazil chapter and any of the chapters that we're talking to today, and one of the other 33 as well. You can actually find on our site at chapters.marssociety.org. And so thank you very much, Julio. And I think, last but not least, we want to move on to Scott Davis from NorCal. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. So I'll let you just take it away and jump right into your presentation. Introduce yourself and go right ahead.
We are not one of these big national chapters. We're just a small little regional one. We're with the Northern California chapter. We're mostly centered around Silicon Valley in California. I've been with the chapter for about 13 years. The chapter's been around since the founding of the Mars Society, and we've done a lot of work. One of our big projects is to designed, created, and built all of the analog swimsuits currently used at the Mars Desert Research Station, and has been used for, I don't know, the last 6 years at least. So they have a lot of mileage on these suits. We not only do that, but we also refurbish them every summer between crew seasons. So we take them back to California and clean them and repair them and try to make some small improvements on them for the upcoming season. And there are 11 suits in all. Basically 3 different designs. And we currently are in the middle of a refurbishment summer, and this upcoming weekend we're going to be delivering the suits back to the MDRS. The crew season will start the following weekend. So
that's awesome.
We've been working a lot on these, and it's been quite difficult this summer due to the pandemic. So we've only been able to hold a few work parties and just a few people able to work on them at a time. But they're coming along, and I think they're in pretty good condition for the upcoming cruise season.
Cool. Do you have any pictures that you actually have available that you could show us?
I don't know. I've got one of the helmets right here.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah, we still got some things to put on, but we will have new clear domes, so that we won't have the scratched up clear domes that they've had in the last season. We didn't actually do refurbishment last summer because with the pandemic, they weren't sure if they were going to even have a cruise season this last year, but they were able to have a couple of crews, but it was very light. So we're kind of doing 2 years worth of refurbishment. We also support the suits at the MDRS so that when any of the crews have any technical issues, any of the crew engineers, we will help walk them through troubleshooting any problems with the suits. And occasionally we will send replacement parts when necessary. Thank you. We are also working on designing a next generation swimsuit for the MDRS. And it's still in the design process right now, but we hope to get it funded and maybe for the the following cruise season, not this upcoming one. We might have some brand new suits that will look nicer, be lighter, and still have that feel of what it's like to be in a suit on Mars that we've been trying to go with. Cool. So that's one of our big projects and has been taking a lot of time for the last couple of months. I have all the suits at my house right now, and they take up a lot of space. You wear them around the backyard, don't you? I have walked around wearing the suits just to kind of get the feel of them. We've got some new 3D printed neck rings that are about half the weight of the previous ones, which we hope will make it a lot easier on people's neck and back strain this year. But all of our existing suits were basically made out of common hardware that have been repurposed for suits. For example, in this helmet, the air connectors are PVC pipes. Here we go. You can see the PVC connectors. The clear domes are from a company that primarily makes them for security camera domes. So they have the domes upside down that will have the security cameras inside. And the backs of the helmets are made from a trash can lid, a rounded trash can lid with a swivel lid on it. So these were all kind of made out of parts that we made to work into suits for the most part. For our next generation suit, we hope to be able to 3D print and otherwise manufacture many of the parts on the suit specifically for this simulation, rather than just making do with what we can find and make work like we have with the existing suits. So that's our big goal for the next generation suit. We also have 2 robots that we take to public educational outreach events and have kids drive them around. We have a laptop ground station that will show the video feed from the robots, and the kids can use a joystick to drive the robots around. And we find this is a very popular and educational hands-on experience for kids. Let me show you one of our robots real quick here. This is going to be good. This one is named Phoenix. Sorry, I'm trying to get space for it here. And that's awesome. Yeah, it was originally a Carnegie Mellon designed robot, designed as a university research robot, using as much off-the-shelf parts as possible. And we have been working a lot on upgrading it and upgrading the operating system on it. And we normally take this to a lot of educational outreach events. However, the last couple of years have been very difficult due to the pandemic. So events have been kind of not available for us. But let me say to any of the chapters, if you can get involved with educational outreach events, that is a wonderful thing to be a part of. It's a great way of attracting new members. It's a great way of interacting with and educating the public, inspiring kids who will be the next generation of Mars astronauts. And you can find out what events are happening at your local museums, and innovation fairs, maker fairs. All these sorts of places are great opportunities. Set up a nice booth, have some hands-on activities, some video screens. It's a wonderful way of interacting with the public.
That's awesome. I think one thing to mention too is that it's not always just inspiring people to become astronauts. We always talk about STEM or STEAM, and it's that, when it goes to, settling Mars, we're going to need people of all different sorts and backgrounds and skill sets. I mean, from electricians to everybody else. So don't always think that, well, I don't know if I want to be an astronaut, but you can still actually be part of the mission to settle and be multiplanetary, because we're going to need everybody from every kind of background and every kind of skill set to make that possible. I know there's going to be, the initial leading the way. We need the scientists and we need the astronauts and we need the engineers to actually get us, to get us there. But once we get there, we're going to need a lot of diversity when it comes to the actual talents. So, the fact that we're out there and getting people excited about Mars and space in general, I think is a good thing, regardless of where your actual passions lie. It doesn't have to be that I want to be an engineer or I want to be an astronaut. It could be whatever you want to do, just to help, but also doing it in pursuit of actually settling Mars or the moon or beyond.
I agree.
Another question I have for you too, Scott, is that, so right now you're currently making the suits for MDRS. Are you also helping make the suits for any of the other chapters, or is that something that's on the table where they can reach out to you and actually get assistance for their suits for other chapters as well?
Sure, I would be happy to assist any of the other chapters who are interested in developing analog suits. They are a bit involved to make. But and we did a lot of trial and error, and we've learned from a lot of our mistakes. But our common two-piece suits, we have 6 of them at the MDRS, are all made out of common parts that you could that are fairly easy to obtain and aren't terribly expensive. Most of the work is in putting everything together and modifying things to make them work for you. But so it'll take some elbow grease, but it's very doable. None of these suits are super advanced. If you look at the electronics, they're intentionally rather simple. They need to be robust, and they need to be able to troubleshoot them at the MDRS by engineering, the engineers on the crews, without a lot of hand-holding. So we need to make them straightforward, clear, and few parts that can break down. And they get a lot of wear and tear on them. I mean, they might not look as good as some of the cosplay suits people have developed, but they are working suits, and they will often go through a dozen different crews every crew season at the MDRS, and lots of people, and they just get a lot of wear and tear. I mean, some of these EVAs can go from 4 to 6 hours long, and the suits get pretty worn. So our goal is to try to make them as robust and kind of have that experience of being on Mars as much as we can do within the confines of the simulation.
Cool.
So, and also be safe.
Oh, go ahead.
Safety is very important. If somebody suddenly, has a coughing fit or has to throw up or something that you need to get the helmet off of them quickly out on an EVA and break simulation, it is very important to be able to do so. And if somebody has a bad fall or something like that, you need to be able to get them out of the suit quickly so you can do medical care for them. So safety is another big important aspect of designing these suits.
Okay, amazing. So if somebody, so if one of the other chapters want to get in touch with you in terms of talking about suits, how are they best able to find you?
They can email directly to me. My email address is mars.sim@gmail.com.
Okay.
And they can also contact our chapter. Our website is norcal.marssociety.org.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anything else that you want to talk about today, Scott?
No, that's mostly it. One thing I did want to mention to anyone doing chapters, state chapters, national chapters, whatever, the Mars Society. One thing I highly recommend is to hold regular monthly meetings. Even if you don't have a lot to talk about, holding monthly meetings, even virtual meetings during the pandemic, is extremely important to keep people invested and being, a part of the group, keeping the group together. So I highly recommend it. It doesn't have to be the same day every month, doesn't have to be perfectly spaced out, but just try to have a meeting every month. And that's a good way of keeping your chapter going and keeping everyone invested.
No, it's fantastic. Great advice. I mean, I think that's great advice for, regardless of what sector you're in. I mean, it's, this has been, it's been tough on people, it's, the isolation. It's interesting. We're almost all in a sim. We're all having to, get, especially, Evan, to kind of bring you back into the conversation. I mean, with your background in psychology, I mean, I'm sure you can really appreciate the fact that you want to, these touch points and touching base. I mean, maybe if you want to add something to that as well, in terms of, what to do and keep it in touch for the chapters.
Sure. I mean, yeah, human connectivity is always important. And I mean, even outside of the Mars Society, just keeping connected during this time is essential. A lot of people are being isolated, and we do the same, Scott. That's a great idea. Just keep the ball rolling, right?
Awesome. So I want to bring up an image here that I should have brought this up earlier. Let's see if you guys can see that on the screen. So it really just wanted to show the representation of the Mars Society from the chapters globally, regionally, that you can see that, there is a fair bit of coverage on the planet for, the reach of the Mars Society as a whole. So I just wanted to thank you all. I mean, it's amazing that, without the chapters, without the chapter heads, without your drive and your passion and your advocacy, this really isn't going to be possible. It's not, it takes, you say it takes a village to raise a kid. It takes a lot of chapters to really, reach the planet, and you guys are doing just an amazing and fantastic job. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank you all for showing up tonight and, really spending your time with us. I mean, that's something that I think, we don't give enough credit for, is that, the time is valuable. There's not a lot of it. We're all very busy, and the fact that you took time out of your day to come speak with everybody, I really want to say thank you very much for that. And so before we go, what I wanted to do is to make mention, of course, a very special event is happening tomorrow. You might have all been aware. Inspiration 4 is launching. And the reason I kind of want to bring it up, I want to obviously, wish them well. And because Dr. Proctor actually is a former Endurance crew member. So she was actually on one of the crews in the past. So we want to kind of just, wish her well. And now I was trying to think of what are the best, the words that I could use the most to actually say that. So I thought, what, I can probably do better than that. So actually I reached out to Dr. Pandya today, which I'm sure you all are familiar with. And I asked her, can I, she made a video today to actually wish them all well. So I thought I would actually play that video for everybody today. And I'm definitely, I really appreciate the words that she chose today. It was just fabulous. So I'm just going to play this for everybody, and here we go.
It's without audio for me.
Yeah, it's muted for me. It's muted for me as well.
Well, let me sec. Oh, you're not hearing it all, guys?
No, I can't hear it at all, unfortunately.
Let me try one more time. I hear that can happen on this. So what I'm going to do though is I am, just because I think, you know, I have seen this run into a problem before. So what I'm going to do is stop the screen. We'll try one more time. So bear with me. This is a live show. Of course, things just have to actually just to make my my job a little bit harder. So I can share audio checkbox on the next window. Your screen. Okay, there we go. And it's probably just because I did not do that properly. Okay, so we're going to try one more time. If not, I will put the link in, and I want everybody to go and watch that if because you're going to love it. No?
No, not for me, Ron.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste this into the comments. And sorry about that, guys. It's supposed to work. I did share the audio, but it's deciding that it's going to make my life a little hard today just because we're on a live show. Why not? Okay, so I'm just going to put that in the comments there. So I really encourage you to go over to her page and look for the video that she actually shared out for Inspiration 4. And of course, I want to say thank you, thank you, good, well wishes to you. I mean, it's fantastic. I can't even imagine the experience that you're getting to have. I mean, it's just wow. I mean, that's crazy. So I'm just going to put that up there. I'm going to take this, stop the screen, and put that up there for everybody. So I definitely encourage you to go to Dr. Pandya, go to her Facebook profile, and she has that video that she shared out today. And the words she used are just, I mean, they were just phenomenal. That's why I reached out to her and said, can I share this? And of course, that didn't work out according to plan, but at least I'm sharing the mention of it. So I wanted to thank you guys again. It was really fantastic. I really appreciate you spending the time with us today. And, if there's any closing thoughts, go ahead. So I'll just kind of go around once, again, if you want to mention your membership drive. So Evan, if you want to take it away, closing thoughts, and where can we find Mars Society Canada?
Yeah, sure. If you want to learn more about Mars Society of Canada, just go to marssociety.ca and you can find our membership page and how to join and our future activities. And Ron, I wanted to say thank you so much for doing this. You're doing a wonderful job. Absolute pleasure to be here. An honor to be counted amongst you gentlemen. And thank you to everybody who's part of this mission. We're doing something special. And we're really paving the way to a future that's exciting. So thank you, Ron, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Evan. Julio, if you wanted to some closing thoughts, and then again, how do we find the Brazil chapter, and how do we become members?
Okay, thanks so much for this opportunity to talk about what we are doing in Brazil. Also, we have a WhatsApp group. In this WhatsApp group, we are sharing the meetings. Generally, we are having meetings during Mondays. It's very easy to contact me. Looking my contacts in the social media is maybe easier. And also, it's just to send me a message and you'll be adding. But the Brazilian chapter is based in Portuguese, but sometimes we develop some activities also in English. But we are very open to collaborate internationally. Also, everybody are welcome to develop some activities in the Brazilian analog habitat. Also, some possible research will be possibly feasible to operate remotely. We'll be also adding some research, international research in our facilities, or if someone would like to visit us in Brazil, everybody are welcome.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Julio, for coming today. And Scott, if you want to take it away and close out the show. And you're on mute there, Scott.
Thank you very much for having me on the show. I appreciate that. Get a chance to talk about what my chapter's doing. If anybody is in the Northern California area and would like to join us, simply go to our website at norcal.marssociety.org, and it should have all information about our upcoming events and how to join our mailing list. We're very open and welcome to anyone joining us. And if you have any interest in the swimsuits that we work on, feel free to contact us. We might be able to work with you on developing your own swimsuits as well.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again, everybody. It's fantastic. Again, I appreciate all your time tonight for coming out. It was absolutely just amazing show, and I really appreciate everything you've done. I want to say thank you to the audience. So I think from that, we will bid you adieu. And everybody, watch that Inspiration 4 launch tomorrow. And thank you very much. And we will close out the show with the video. See you later, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Congratulations, Ron.
Bye now.
Congratulations, Scott.
Sometime in the next few decades, humans will leave this planet to live in another world.
That means that some people in our life can be the first Martians. How about that?
We're finding out a lot about how to explore Mars in our station. Over 1,000 people from over 40 countries have actually participated in one crew or another.
It's the grandest adventure I could possibly imagine. That is, for me, the most important reason why we should pursue the establishment of life on Mars.
If we go to Mars in our time, 200 years from now, there'll be new branches of human civilization on Mars.